Hello everyone, and welcome to another backyard adventure. Can you guess where I'm at today? Well, if you guessed Mayberry, you're right. Yes, today's adventure takes us to the real-life Mayberry, Mount Airy, North Carolina. I'm standing here in front of a statue that was taken from the opening scenes of the Andy Griffith show. Shows Andy and Opie walking down that dirt road to the old fishing hole. So come with me as we explore Mayberry, USA. The Opie and Andy statue is located at the Andy Griffith Playhouse, which is also home to the Andy Griffith Museum. While the museum is open, the last time I was here a couple years ago, there was no video or photography permitted inside, so I'm not going to go back through it. But trust me, it is worth a visit if you've never been. They have a lot of artifacts from the show and from the career of Andy Griffith, like No Time for Sergeants and several other movies, Matlock. They have artifacts from that show. It's well worth a visit. I'm just not going to go back and go through it again. It's a wonderful museum. If you're ever in Mount Airy, be sure to stop by and pay the admission and go through the Andy Griffith Museum. While none of the show was actually filmed here, many of the businesses in downtown have embraced the show. And many of the businesses were actually mentioned in the show. There's no doubt that Mayberry loves Barney and Andy. The downtown area of Mount Airy is actually a very busy downtown. There's not a lot of empty storefronts. In Mayberry or Mount Airy. I'm going to call it Mayberry all day long because this is Andy Griffith's birthplace. He was actually born here in Mount Airy, and we're going to go to the house where he was born in just a few minutes. And it's also, I think, the birthplace of country music star Donna Fargo. One of the Ford Galaxy patrol cars, like the one used by Andy and Marty in the show, parked on Main Street here in Mount Airy, and one just went by that was actually doing tours. You can take a squad car tour around Mount Airy or Mayberry, whatever you need to call it. And here comes another squad car tour through downtown Mayberry. And if you're hungry, you can stop at Barney's Cafe and have a Barney burger. And no trip to Mayberry would be complete without a stop at Floyd's Barbershop. And one of the places mentioned in the show was the Snappy Lunch, home of the famous pork chop sandwich. And I've been to the Snappy Lunch and actually had a pork chop sandwich, and they're really quite good. Snappy Lunch was mentioned in a couple of episodes of the show, I think. And it's been around since 1923, home of the famous pork chop sandwich. And we're right back where we started from, and that's a complete walkthrough of downtown Mayberry, or the real life Mount Airy, North Carolina. Just south of downtown is this little area that they have fixed up that's part of the Mayberry Squad Car Tours. And while not an exact replica of the show set, it's pretty close. And here we are, Mayberry, Courthouse and Sheriff's Office. Arnie's desk with the radios that were never used. Telephone that they used to get Sarah to get Juanita over to the diner. Looks like Ernest T. Bass is in town. Sales, although I don't recall a TV in the real Mayberry Sheriff's Office, but maybe Otis had one put in. Evidently this one is a little bit more secure than the real Mayberry jail. They've got it padlocked. Key is still hanging on the wall between the two shelves. Emmett's Fix-It Shop. As I recall, Emmett didn't come along until late in the show and was in many of the colorized versions. I think he came along after Floyd Lawson couldn't perform anymore, couldn't appear on the show anymore. So they brought in Emmett, Howard Sprague. And of course, Wally's service station. Goober says, hey. Yep, Wally service station, where Goober says, hey. Well, it looks like Charlene, Briscoe, and the boys are in town. So I might have to go across the Robert E. Lee Natural Bridge and pay them a visit. My final stop on this trip to Mayberry is at the Andy Griffith home place. It's located here on Haymore Street in Mount Airy. And this is Andy Griffith's Mount Airy home. Today you can actually stay in the house. You can call the number listed on the sign there in the front, and for a fee you can stay in the Andy Griffith home. And evidently, I need to keep my finger out of the picture, but evidently somebody is doing it, because there's a sign here that says guests are occupying the house and please respect their privacy. So that's what we're going to do. But this is the place that Andy Griffith called home here in Mayberry, Mount Airy, North Carolina. This is where I'm going to end this video. I hope you've enjoyed my visit to Mayberry, Mount Airy, North Carolina. If you have, please give me a thumbs up below. And if you want to keep up with my future adventures, ring that bell and subscribe. So from Mayberry, USA, it's time for me to head on down the road, see what's around the bend. Thanks for watching, everyone.